Yoel!
Billy, I'm ready to banter with Billy. I'm really
You are
excited.
going to banter. For anybody who doesn't know Yoel Israel, I don't think anybody doesn't not know you, but just for the sake of sort of like, I don't know, the one person around here that might not. Yoel Israel, the CEO of Wadi Digital and Israel Tech. Thank you for joining me on this banter session. We've got so much to cover, and I feel like how we're going to do it all justice in a short period of time. But both been in the digital marketing industry for, a year or two, a decade or two. And we've seen a lot of changes. And I think that, it's 2025 and I'm feeling that first of all, we're seeing a full 360. And I think that I'm going to get right to the point of what I see as the biggest change that we've seen in the past decade. And that is if we came from the industry and the niche publications and diversification of, advertising channels, and then everybody ran towards the large platforms of LinkedIn and Google. And now I'm seeing that, hey, everybody's running back to the diversification. I mean, and I know that you're witnessing it too, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I'm a general fan, just kind of philosophy on life, not just marketing, is decentralization over centralization. With decentralization, you're able to reach more people and where they are. Sometimes what we do is, in a sense of laziness or scale, we would say, let's concentrate our budget on, let's say, Google or on LinkedIn. You can always throw more money on LinkedIn because it's not limited by how many people may be searching for your keywords, as an example. And so we just throw more money in it because it's easier. We have those budgets. But then suddenly, obviously, when recessions happen, inflation happens, suddenly people look for how can I get more bang for my buck? And I'm willing to put in more sweat equity because I have less budget and I need to demonstrate better return. And I want to show that I can do more for being hired as an in-house marketer. In order to show that value, you need to be able to provide better results in a more difficult time. And that's by doing more with less. But doing more means doing more platforms, finding more ways to reach your audience and connect with these human beings.
Totally. But I think it's also, a matter of people left the industry publications and the newsletters and the very niche kind of players for a reason, because they weren't seeing the return. And everybody was going towards LinkedIn and Google because they were seeing a return, and they were sort of like the new kids on the block. And what do you mean you're not going to be advertising in them? And now they're sort of like LinkedIn and Google are not meeting the needs, and they're too expensive. I think they've priced themselves out of the market.
Well, the reason why I founded Cyfluencer, the influencer marketing platform for cyber, is because I thought LinkedIn was too expensive. That was 7 years ago. I started building it.
7 years ago.
So just,
okay.
yes, that was before the inflation, and customer acquisition costs were getting way too high, and there's nowhere else to serve ads. Now there are. I'm sure we'll talk about those other platforms for B2B tech and cybersecurity, and it was just too expensive. That's like the whole thing. I felt my clients were being ripped off. I thought I hate to say this. I'm sorry if anyone on LinkedIn's watching, but I feel we've done so much for LinkedIn, spending how much money of our clients have LinkedIn Premium for years. Where's all this money we're putting into it, and where's the pipeline? Where's
so
the
return? Party is over, right? The party is over, and as you said, sort of like people are needed
the party
to
started.
The party started, depending on which party.
You see, we went from a party in one house to a block party. Now we can go to next door, hang out on Reddit, hang out on Substack, hang out on X, hang out on Quora. So I like a block party. I want to go bar crawling with you.
Like it. Okay. So yeah, I would agree with you. So yes, we're expanding the party. We're not just having the Google and LinkedIn party. At Envy, we were calling it the Demand Gen Alternatives Party. And because niche publications back in, if you can get into a good newsletter, podcasts, getting onto podcasts right now that are speaking to your, target audience. If it's in cybersecurity, if it's in fintech, if it's in water technology, I mean, seriously, there's a podcast for everything.
The last presidential election, they called the podcast election, where basically there was far more power. People going, Donald Trump was going on like 3-hour podcasts, 4-hour podcasts, like Joe Rogan. Yeah. He was talking about he's 100% sober, Donald Trump, right? Yeah. And he was talking about doing cocaine with what's his name, Theo Vaughn. Last weekend, I don't even know his podcast. And he was talking about Theo Vaughn, was talking about his cocaine addiction he used to have. And Trump's asking him questions. These are the questions that a presidential candidate's having. Now, these are the kind of conversations I may be having with my friends. Not recorded, but you now have a presidential contender who was a former president now talking about this on podcasts. And that's how you're able to reach the audience, is that being able to go where your audience spends the time. The biggest
Yes.
problems I think marketers have, especially B2B, more than B2C, is we don't think about the end user, right? We think about put someone LinkedIn, put someone here, put someone Google, do competitive research, and then like we write our ads based on solutions, and we're not stopping and thinking, okay, I am a DevOps expert. I am a cybersecurity, I'm a security architect. What am I doing? How do I start my day? What's the demographic? Are they taking their kids to school? Are they whatever? Are they commuting to work? How often are they from home? How do they use their phone? What app do they first use in the morning? Right? How do they communicate with their team? Do they prefer to go to Slack or email once they start working? As an example, I don't like these are the things we need to understand. So
Hmm.
if you can go where people are spending their time, that is the best way to go about. Now, podcasts is where people go and spend a long period of their time. They listen to them on their commute, they listen to them on their walks, they listen when they wash dishes, and that's where people are. And so I think moving more in a podcast is much greater. And I'll give you one more reason. There's trust. Because when I advertise on LinkedIn or any other platform, it's through a big corporation, which there's nothing wrong with them. However, when it's a podcast, you got a personality. Billy, I trust you.
Hmm.
I trust when we talk about HubSpot or marketing automation or strategy that I know if Billy has something to say on that topic, it's worth a listen. So therefore, I'm going to listen to Billy.
We're also talking about a shift away from the lead gen movement and more into the demand gen and the awareness movement, which has also come a full circle because we came from there. We came from people need to be aware of us. We came from billboards. We came from, newspaper, sort of like ads. We came from TV ads that you could assume that an uplift after a TV commercial like the Super Bowl means that they saw the ads, right? And it's all like we've come a full circle because we're going back to the fact that people will get in touch with you when they're ready to buy, not when you say, hey, click here for a demo. No, you need to have a demo now. Why haven't you clicked a demo yet? Come on, give me that click.
How do you explain to someone, a marketer, that might does not understand where the puck is going when it comes to consuming attention, human attention, that no, we need to be omnipresent and we're not going to get you those leads right away. That isn't the goal, at least the demos, but rather it's going to take a long time to get there. And we're going to have to do that and take that leap of faith, especially when working with startups that have a burn rate. They're not even, forget profitable, cash flow positive. How do you sell it?
So it's becoming clearer and clearer to us that we basically write the go-to-market strategies now for our clients, and we say to them, okay, we are going to be on between 2 and 5 key channels. Some of them are niche, and some of them are the broad channels. And we basically design the campaign so that some of them will bring in top of the funnel leads that they can start working with immediately, in addition to the events that they're going to, right? In addition to the outbound calls that they're making, regardless of the GTM strategy. And some of some of the budget is going to go to the long form, to the stuff that's going to take to fill the funnel in months' time as opposed to immediately. So you feed the hungry sales team wanting the top of the funnel and to speak to people and to be in front of people whilst you're working on the additional higher quality, more expensive, higher intent, more relevant, SQLs and opportunities. But because there's no two ways about it. You can't just focus only on the short term. You can't obviously focus only on the long term. So you have to do them in tandem. And we also say, look, if you haven't got enough budget, and enough budget is different for each industry, but it's, there is a rule of thumb. Don't start with paid campaigns. Just don't start with paid campaigns. You're only going to get disappointed because you might think that $10,000 is a lot of money to put on, paid campaigns. And it is. But in the scheme of things, it's nothing, right? And you're going to, at the end of the month, you're going to say, hey, I spent $10,000 on LinkedIn and I got 1 demo request and 10 leads
And they
that
didn't
are worth
show up.
nothing. Yeah.
Or they don't
And
remember filling it out.
exactly. And so, and you like, don't start. If that's your budget, literally your money is better spent elsewhere. It is. And that's what we're saying to a lot of customers. And the conversation like 2 years ago when we started having it was very tough. And now it's like, okay, we get it. They're getting it because they've been burned. How much money did they burn throughout the whole glorious years, And so they get it. It's not an easy process, but I think, the more we all talk about it, the more we share our experiences, and we are that community. It's just it's not a no-brainer. It's a work in progress, but it is getting easier because so many people have been burned and because so many CFOs have signed off on too many open checks, as they say, for multiple channels.
One challenge I'm seeing in here is that they've been burned, and so obviously they have a trust deficit.
Yep.
Understandable. They're
Yep.
humans. I would too. But now you're saying, let me introduce something which isn't going to provide leads immediately. Oh, and no one else is really doing it because I'm a marketing trailblazer and I want to go ahead and test this. How do you sell that?
Because we always have we no, that's actually easy because we're always saying we need a testing budget. We can't, out of that $10,000 that you think is a lot of money, you have zero for testing. So you're putting all your eggs in one very expensive basket and you've got no money aside for testing. And what we say is give us the 80%, 90%, or actually we'll take the 80 or 90% and we'll put that on the stuff that we've already got experience with. We've already worked with it on company ABC or industry ABC, and the rest of it we're going to test a new channel. And and that's how you build the trust. And I think that clients also understand that agencies have their neck on the line. They know very well that if you don't give them the results, you're going to be fired. And
That's the right.
no
So
agency
how do
wants to
you
be
work
fired.
long term? How do you work long term in that sense? Like, because we were talking about a move to branding and awareness,
Right.
and we work with startups. People don't know their logo or their name, and they'll see their ad today and they'll forget it tomorrow,
Right.
right? Unfortunately, there's the challenge, and you could be competing against behemoths. Often you are, at least established players that you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
disrupt, even if you're not competing directly, but you're trying to disrupt them. So I mean, it's very difficult to sell. Let's talk about those other platforms. What platform do you think has the greatest potential for B2B tech outside of, let's say, LinkedIn and Google, and why?
Obviously, it's Reddit. I think that more and more marketers are on there and they're understanding the potential, and I hope that it doesn't also get drenched the same way that LinkedIn and Google did, basically. But I think that if the communities continue to be strong on there and they keep on crucifying marketers for creating bad ads or creating bad content, and we are very, very meticulous with the kind of content that we put on the agency and also for our clients, because it's just like, oh my God, it's like you ain't seen nothing yet if you put on bad content. On the other hand, when we put on the right content, we do get, hey, I saw your ad on Reddit. Hey, I saw your content on Reddit. That was so cool. We want to talk to you about that.
Just to be people that don't understand what you're talking about on Reddit, the business model is that there are subreddits, basically communities, and then violating it, and they can. So, as an example, just that happened last week. A subreddit, they doxed some like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds working in the government with Doge or whatever, with Elon Musk, trying to find out where waste is going. They doxed them, and then they shut down the channel for 3 days, and they said we're sitting with the head of the subreddit to help them learn and clean through and to work with them, because it was a big subreddit, how to better navigate. It'll be back on 3 days, and this pause, kind of like a cooling off period, an education period, and a lesson to other subredditors that you need to go by our very basic rules, no docs. There's some very simple rules, and then they can add their own. And so it brings that community aspect of that scale and that community. We're kind of the best of the both worlds ish that we were talking about earlier.
So I mean, like, one more thing and last thing on Reddit is that when we've really worked on articles for DevOps and cybersecurity professionals, and we've had it on Reddit, and we've worked the community well and like answered and been engaged. The leads that we've received from Reddit have been the highest quality by far. Like, if you're getting the engagement and those people who are engaging are actually like reaching out to the company, then that is absolutely incredible. I mean, really high quality. And which platform
Bridget
do you
with
think is
X.
going to dominate?
X
You think it's coming back?
has been. I mean, I went all in on X when Elon Musk acquired it.
But you're one of, you're not, I'm not going to say we're one of the few, but just like you believe that strongly in X, but so many hundreds of companies and not thousands of companies fled. Like, they stopped. Something that also is very retro, in my opinion, it actually makes me chuckle, is like the return of the newsletter and the return of the owned assets, because marketers are getting fed up of third parties owning their data, basically. And I think it's really, really funny because newsletters have been around since, pigeon deliveries. And it's just sort of like, seriously, we haven't found a better way to communicate with our audience that we're going back to newsletters. And not only that, people are signing up to more and more newsletters, which is incredible. So it's
I
like,
started to again. I love that you use the word retro. I,
it
I
is
think that
retro. It's
I
like,
think
look at
that's
it's like the
it's under
lights on the
you. I think
background.
it's an underappreciated word.
right? I'm making,
Yes.
I'll make a petition for the word retro to come back.
No, then it won't be cool anymore. When you use it until everyone else uses it, then we move on to
But
another word.
basically, it's the
But then we
whole
say
owned
retro. It's so 2025. What are you doing?
the whole owned assets. People are wanting their own events as opposed to going to the larger events and so like just to like getting lost in the crowd. They're wanting their own podcast. Blogs are dying for all intents and purposes.
Why? That's far more interesting.
Oh, because there's so many bad blogs out there that for every good blog that's out there, you get to like 20, 30, 50, 1,000 really, really bad ones. So the internet is filled with fluff. So people can't make out the difference between, good content, bad content. That's one reason. Another reason is that, there's a huge shift away from long form. Not in every case. Once you used to have a website and you used to have blog and you have the company newsletter. Would like people to take out of this delightful banter.
One is that don't listen to other marketers.
What?
What do you mean, Billy? Yes. Sorry, Billy.
Oh,
Okay,
Yoel,
listen to
you're
Billy.
not
Don't
supposed
listen
to
to me.
say that. Well, we've been talking about.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold up. Let me finish. Don't listen to other marketers. Sometimes people will do what's easiest scale and all of that. Put your platform where you can measure it. My advice to marketers is do it yourself. Use Reddit. Look at the ads. See what fits and what's not. Find those subreddits where.
Channel. Okay.
Yeah, go to X, take out some ads, click on an ad, consume some ads, go to the replies, see how the ads look differently there. Look at different people, what it looks like, who's doing lead gen, who's not, what ads are targeting you. Why do you think they are targeting you? Hey, that's relevant to you. What engagement have you done, or viewer, or following? You think that therefore it is relevant to you. Look at people commenting on those ads so you know who else is being targeted. Start to reverse engineer and feel it out. Try other platforms, try other products, go to Substack, use it and read it.
Okay, interesting.
What you need to go fight for new frontiers, like Billy has been talking about here, new platforms, find unique publications or newsletters or podcasts, and you need to go and create your own frontier. You have to take chances and you have to communicate internally. Like Billy said, we need a test budget to try new things that can give us ROI. Some things will fail, but we will always learn. And we will take those learnings and we will apply them. Have fun marketing, find new frontiers, test it yourself, and Billy and I will see you there.
What he said. I don't really need to say anything else. Thank you, Yoel, for summarizing perfectly. But I will add, these are fun times. I mean, like the marketers of 2 or 3 years ago were very pigeonholed into what they needed to try and what they needed to do, and they just needed to spend. Now is like really pick your 2 to 5 channels and focus on them, test with them, run with them. Don't give up on them too quickly because they take time. But yeah, it's I'm far more excited by like 2025 than I was by 2020, and Corona has nothing to do with this.
Thank you, Billy. It's good banter with you.
Yoel, you're amazing. You really do speak very, very quickly, even as a native Brit. Speed. Bye, Yoel. Thank you so much for joining me. You're a gem. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, darling.
Bye.